let's take a little walk. This is the outside of the fence. I have so many random tomatoes that had to be stuck into bags and little corners. The bottom needs to be trimmed off of these, off of this guy here. I'm just gonna take a couple on here. Open that up a little bit, and then there's thyme planted. Oh, there was no sun just a minute ago. The minute you turn on the camera. See if I can do this without shadow. Here are the peas that fell over. We tried to trellis them back up. I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. And then all of the arugula came out. Cucumbers are in for trellising after the peas. And then that's going to just get harvested, and then I'm probably going to pull it. I want this whole bed to be carrots. And then we've got some random squash growing on this hill. The shelling peas, high intensity lettuce that is also going to be coming out because it's going to bolt really soon. I'd rather have it in the fridge. And then a bunch of like melon and squash. I left one radish that had gone to seed. That will be carrots as well. And then I'll plant some melon and things like that to take the place of the peas. I've got the beets. More hills. My little yellow bowl filled with water that I learned from Heather of Northridge Farm. Get your squash bugs before they get you. I actually haven't seen any squash bugs, but I'm doing it anyway. And then the garlic. We had the garlic scapes already. Interplanted in there were radishes, and there's a few more in there. And then this is a recent bed. I can't believe how bright the sun is right now. I've got 3 tomatoes. Looks like only 2 are gonna make it. And then, what does this say? There's my shadow. Purple top turnip, golden ball turnip, China rose radish, kohlrabi. So that's gonna be a fun little box. And the husk cherries are starting. Look at that. That's exciting. And then potato row. So we've got, that one was planted really late. These all need dirt and straw added to them. But look how beautiful they are. They're beautiful. There are sweet peas planted on the other side of the fence trying to grow. They're just starting to do something. And then the magnolia tendril peas, which if we're smart, we'll trellis these before they fall over. Well, look at the peas. They're purple. They're purple. Oh my goodness. And then I've got some stevia, some marjoram, the beautiful pear tree that lost a lot of pears. I don't know if it's the squirrels or not, but they're all over the ground. Okay, so what else do we have out here? Another random tomato and lemon balm by the coop. And that's my little table that we're using temporarily until Dave builds one inside the fence. All right, let's go in. So along the fence, there's also more melon. I start them under glass jars. It seems to make a huge difference in their success rate. And then we've got, I'll just walk you through, calendula. I don't want my shadow in there though. Dragon tongue beans, beautiful chard, some zinnias, radishes, marigolds, and then we start the tomatoes, and they are beautiful. And interplanted with the tomatoes are beans down there. Beans were supposed to be the mulch, but because they, look at that little beauty, because they got sick, we had to do the straw. There was no way around it, and I'm glad we did because it's holding moisture really well. Over here we've got another cucumber, nasturtiums, more cucumber that will start to grow up the fence. This is the back of that box that I just showed you. So we've got a ton of tomatoes, marigolds, beans. It is supposed to rain, so hopefully that is what this curled leaf is. It may not be, so I need to see if the rain takes care of that. These plants all got watered yesterday with a little bit of fish emulsion. Marigolds, nasturtiums. Here's the back side of the peas. So the tomatoes go all the way down. Just 2 rows of tomatoes, and then some of the beans are looking really good. Those are beautiful. And then what have we got here? Giant sunflower, marigolds. Ooh, look at these. These are beautiful zucchini. I already harvested one. I'll probably kind of get that. Look how beautiful that is. I need the sun to go back behind that cloud. It's going to be a good year for zucchini. Zucchini is just like doing so good. There's a little baby okra. There's my shadow. Cilantro, celery, onion, more potatoes. Potatoes in a hill. And then down here, there's some Thai basil, and then there's this cabbage, and she's going to have to come out, and I will just do something with it because that flowered. It's just so hot. I knew the cabbage would be a risk, but I decided to do it anyway. And then what I did was I put the zucchini here, knowing that this cabbage would be out soon, and then the zucchini will take up this space. I'll probably be able to add something else too. Not sure what. Look at this beautiful calendula. The colors on this, I mean, how do you even talk about it? You just get lost in it. Let's see how close we can get to that. It's gorgeous. Along this fence, there's some Thai long beans, a couple other pole beans, some peas, another row of tomatoes, intercropped with beans. You can see the beans kind of taking over my marigold, or the marigold taking over the beans, who knows. And then we'll just keep walking down here. So we've got a bunch of kale, little baby sunflowers, sage, another cabbage that's gonna need to come out, beautiful zinnias, more zucchini, more sunflowers, an eggplant, a bunch of peppers, more basil, Thai basil, cute little squash tucked in the corner, and then these are supposed to be sweet peas growing up and being all beautiful on the side of this fence, but they have not decided to do much yet, so hopefully we're getting there. There's 2 cutie little chickens. We've got corn intercropped with some beans to grow above them, and then the squash will go in for 3 sisters. More peppers, yellow squash, cilantro, beans, eggplant, a bush variety of a honey nut squash. This is perpetual spinach. It's actually a chard, and it's really good, and it's surviving the heat because it's a chard rather than a spinach. And I think I'm going to plant a ton of this in some open spaces. This is a slow boat lettuce, and I don't know, it hasn't looked great, so that's probably going to be animal food. That'll probably come up soon. And then some new corn, peppers, beans to grow up along this trellis. So that is going to be a beautiful, beautiful sight when that happens. I love eggplant. I'm not sure people in my family love eggplant. More husk cherries. You can see they're actually starting to get little cute fruit on them. Another zucchini behind the sunflower. I worked really hard this year to give things enough space. I'm hoping that translates. I've got some beets started, some basil that's getting munched up by bugs. What I tried to do is use the space under where the things are going to grow on the trellis for more, shade-loving or cool plants. Those are melon that are going to grow up this arch trellis. It's going to be beautiful. All right, this side is really full and lush. Oh, look, I put beans to grow up the sunflower. I don't know how tall this sunflower will get, but it sure looks like it's going to get somewhat tall. More calendula. I like to have a flower at the end of the rows if possible. Kale, all the tomatoes, beans. I'm not sure if we have any flowers. Looks like maybe we're starting to get little flowers. There's the sun again. Some cauliflower, cabbages. So the reason I wanted to do this video today actually is because I'm trying to decide whether to take these cabbages out today. There is some pest destruction, but they are so beautiful, it's just hard to believe. I'm pretty sure some of them have flowered. This Napa cabbage looks great. I will check it for pests. This one has flowered, so I am going to use most of those leaves. I won't use any of the tough outer leaves. So most likely these are all coming out really soon. I just don't want to risk losing these. So you can see this is starting to get devoured by something. I haven't seen evidence of the cabbage worms, but yeah, that's gonna come out today. I don't want to lose the whole thing. So I think I did pretty well before possible destruction, but the cabbage moths are everywhere. And I will plant fall cabbages and I will cover them. I will cover broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages, and my kale seems to be pretty safe. It's doing beautifully. It gets gorgeous. Look at that. It's like I don't remember the actual official name, like the blue kale. And then we've got onions. There's the 2 arch trellises that'll soon be covered. The melon to grow up this trellis. All right, and then you've got to see the craziness that is the squash bed. And it is not even like close to being done. That one's growing up the fence. Got the cucumbers growing with the fence, but I probably won't even be able to get to them because I did not think that through. There's so many things I didn't think through, but now I know. So I can write it down in my little garden journal. Let's go look at the cucumbers, see if there's any. There are a lot of babies. A lot of babies. Oh, we've actually had 1 cucumber so far. I think it was just an early guy. It's so beautiful watching this stuff grow up the fence. So I thought this was a really big space for squash, and it is, but it's never enough. More melon, pole beans over here, and then so I've got these banana melon under the jars. They look really good. I'm gonna leave the jars probably for 1 more day. Let's see if we have zucchini. Here's another zucchini. This is the Haifas, or Haifa, I'm not sure. Haifa zucchini. This is another row of tomatoes. We're going to have to get a cattle panel. And what I did is I put the tomatoes in among the things that were already growing. And there's some cilantro started there, like spinach, And here's cilantro, and I've just been using it as mulch. So you can kind of see the tomatoes are like camouflaged in with the spinach. And they're acting as, really good like deterrent for pests. More peppers, more basil, more eggplant, more husk cherries. Don't ask me how I ended up with so many ground cherries. It is just like the most beautiful day in this garden. I can't wait till these trellises are filled. Recently I got pretty overwhelmed because I've never grown a garden at this scale before, and it was pest stuff, out, and what do I plant there? Getting things ready and then putting them in the ground like fennel and having it not work. And my brain was just like, how do I make sense of all this? Because I'm not just planting like, one row of crops, harvesting it, and then I'm done. There's a ton of succession planting happening to maximize this space. And so I was like, I've never had chicken. I've never had this. I was just so overwhelmed. And the cabbage moths were starting to come and destroy the cabbages and the kale and the broccoli and the cauliflower. And I remembered when we very first started this farm, I saw this tiny little moth, and it started flying through the garden. And I was like, Dave, look at our little moth blessing. Like, this moth is here blessing our garden. This is such a good sign. I was so excited. And then come to find out, this is like my worst pest. And so that kind of brought me back to like the beginning. I love beginnings, and I love going back to the beginning and just remembering like the possibility, the potential, that feeling of excitement, that feeling of like anything can happen. I am in charge of this. This is mine. I get to create this, and I am in this beautiful relationship with the soil, with the sky, with the universe. Like, we are doing this together. There is a reciprocity that is going to happen. And yes, there may be moths that lay eggs in my cabbage, but there's also chicken that eat moths and birds that eat moths. And, we are seeing things show up in our yard that we've never had here. We've never had these like yellow finches and just different species of birds. We're seeing butterflies. We've got bees everywhere. I mean, it's just incredible what is happening. And so every time I see a little moth now, I just remind myself that was my little moth blessing for the garden. And I do have a butterfly net, and I am catching them. But when you just like close your eyes and remember, like when you're in the dream, when you get to the dream and you're in it, it can be really hard to remember what it felt like before the beginning, and it's still the beginning. And I imagine every single year it will feel like the beginning. Like, it will always feel like the beginning when you're, working with seeds or getting new animals or trying something for the first time. Everything I've done over a decade of running my own business and creating, it's all beginnings. It's always beginnings. So I just wanted to remind you that sometimes, the thing that is causing you the stress, maybe at one time, that was the blessing, and it probably still is. So I keep this straw bale, I don't know what the heck that is, in the garden in the corner. Literally sit here with a cup of coffee and look at this and just think, oh my God, I did this. I did this. And it's only just the beginning. This is just the beginning. And there's our little blessing of a moth.